8 people with superpowers confirmed by science.
What if you could remember every single day of your life? Every meal, every conversation, every weather report, going back decades? What if your bones were so dense that no accident could break them? What if a woman could see 100 times more colors than you or I ever will? These are not science fiction stories. These are real, documented human beings whose abilities have been tested and confirmed by some of the finest research institutions in the world. Today, we are looking at 8 people with genuine superpowers, verified by peer-reviewed science and medical evidence. Some were born with these gifts. Others were transformed by injury or adaptation. All of them prove that the human body still holds secrets we are only beginning to understand.
The woman who sees 100 million colors. Most of us see about 1 million colors. Concetta Antico sees roughly 100 million. While the average person has 3 types of color-detecting cone cells in their eyes, Concetta has 4. This condition is called tetrachromacy. Where you might see a plain green leaf, she sees swirls of violet, turquoise, and orange woven into its surface. A gravel path bursts with pinks and blues, invisible to normal vision. Researchers at the University of California, Irvine confirmed her ability through brain imaging and genetic testing. The extra cone comes from a mutation on the X chromosome. Scientists believe about 2% of women carry the potential for it, but almost none develop the brain wiring to actually use it. Concetta is one of the rare exceptions. She is an artist living in San Diego, and she paints what she sees, scenes that look psychedelic to us, but perfectly natural to her. A sunset is not just orange and pink, it is hundreds of shades that the rest of us will never perceive. Tetrachromacy is a quiet superpower, proof that the world contains far more beauty than our eyes were designed to show us. The man with unbreakable bones. In 1994, a man from Connecticut walked away from a serious car crash without a single broken bone. Doctors were baffled. His X-rays showed bones so dense they were off every known chart. Researchers at Yale discovered he carried a mutation in the LRP5 gene, which controls bone density. His bones were roughly 8 times denser than average, virtually unbreakable. The finding was published in the New England Journal of Medicine. An entire extended family was found to share the mutation, and not one of them had ever fractured a bone in their lives. One relative joked he could not float in a pool because he was simply too heavy. The medical implications were enormous. Osteoporosis causes millions of fractures each year, particularly among older Americans. If scientists could replicate this mutation's effects, they could change the lives of millions. Research into the LRP5 pathway led directly to the development of romosozumab, a bone-strengthening drug approved by the FDA in 2019. A single man's unbreakable skeleton may ultimately protect millions of people from the fractures that too often change the course of a life after 50. The Iceman, Wim Hof. A Dutch man named Wim Hof has set 26 Guinness World Records for withstanding extreme cold. He has climbed Mount Everest in shorts, run a barefoot marathon in the Arctic, and sat submerged in ice for nearly 2 hours, all while his core body temperature barely changed. For years, scientists called him a freak of nature. Then they tested him properly. In 2014, researchers at Radboud University in the Netherlands injected Hof and a group of volunteers he had trained with toxins that normally cause high fever and nausea. The control group became violently ill. Hof's group barely reacted. Their bodies produced far higher levels of adrenaline and anti-inflammatory compounds, essentially suppressing their immune response on command.
The study was published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences and made headlines worldwide. It proved for the first time that the autonomic nervous system, long considered completely involuntary, could be consciously influenced through specific breathing and cold exposure techniques. The implications are profound, particularly for anyone managing chronic inflammation or autoimmune conditions. Hoff claims his method can be learned by anyone. The science, so far, suggests he may be right. The woman who feels no pain. Jo Cameron lived 65 years before anyone realized she was extraordinary. She never understood why other people complained so much about pain. Burns did not bother her. She ate the hottest chili peppers without flinching. After a hip replacement, she reported feeling nothing and declined all painkillers. Her doctors at University College London eventually discovered why. Jo carries two rare genetic mutations, one in the FAAH gene and another in a previously unknown gene they named FAAH-OUT. Together, these mutations flood her body with anandamide, a natural compound similar to cannabis at levels far above normal. The result is remarkable. Jo feels almost no pain, almost no anxiety, and heals faster than average. She once smelled her own flesh burning against an oven and calmly looked down. She had not noticed any discomfort at all. The research was published in the British Journal of Anesthesia in 2019. Scientists believe her mutations could lead to entirely new pain medications without the devastating addiction risks of opioids, a breakthrough that could transform the lives of the millions of Americans living with chronic pain. Jo Cameron's body has essentially turned the pain dial all the way down. The sea nomads, FAAH-OUT people. For over 1,000 years, the FAAH-OUT people of Southeast Asia have lived on the open ocean. They free dive to depths of 200 feet using only hand-carved wooden goggles, no tanks, no modern equipment. Some hold their breath for over 13 minutes during routine working dives. In 2018, researchers at the University of Copenhagen proved this is not just training, it is evolution. Using ultrasound and genetic analysis, they found that FAAH-OUT people have spleens roughly 50% larger than neighboring land-based populations. The spleen acts as a natural oxygen reserve. When you hold your breath underwater, it contracts and releases extra oxygenated red blood cells into the bloodstream. A larger spleen means more time before you need to breathe. The team identified a specific gene variant, PDE10A, responsible for the enlarged spleen, showing clear signs of natural selection over hundreds of generations. The study, published in the journal Cell, was the first proof of genetic adaptation to diving in any human population. It drew immediate comparisons to deep-diving seals and whales. The FAAH-OUT are living evidence that human evolution did not stop thousands of years ago. It is still happening. The girl who never aged. Brooke Greenberg was born in Baltimore in 1993. By her late teens, she still looked and functioned like a toddler, 30 inches tall, 16 pounds, with the developmental level of an infant. She was not suffering from any known condition. Doctors at Johns Hopkins, Mount Sinai, and other leading hospitals tested her extensively. She did not have progeria, dwarfism, or growth hormone deficiency. Nothing in medical literature matched. In 2009, researcher Richard Walker coined the term Syndrome X. His theory was striking. Brooke's body had somehow lost the master program that drives human development and aging. Her bones aged like a 10-year-old's, her brain remained like a newborn's, and the rest of her body barely progressed beyond infancy. Her biological clock appeared shattered, each piece ticking at a different speed. Brooke passed away in 2013 at age 20, never having developed beyond toddlerhood. A handful of similar cases have since been identified worldwide. Researchers believe that somewhere in these children's DNA lies a mechanism that halts biological development entirely. If it can be understood, it could unlock the deepest secrets of why we age, a question that becomes more personal with every passing year. The man who remembers everything. Ask Bob Petrella what he ate for lunch on any given day in 1992, and he will tell you without hesitation. Ask him the score of every Pittsburgh Steelers game over 4 decades, and he will list them in order. Bob has hyperthymesia, highly superior autobiographical memory, a condition where the brain records every personal experience in extraordinary detail and never lets go. Fewer than 100 people worldwide have been confirmed with this ability. The condition was first documented in 2006 at the University of California, Irvine, through a woman named Jill Price. She could recall every day of her life from age 14 onward, not just milestones, but what she wore, what the weather was like, what was on television. Brain scans revealed significantly enlarged temporal lobes and caudate nuclei in people with this condition, but it is not entirely a gift. Jill Price has spoken openly about the burden of never being able to forget. Every embarrassment, every loss, every painful moment is preserved in the same sharp detail as every joy. There is no fading, no softening with time. For most of us, forgetting is a mercy. For people like Bob and Jill, that mercy does not exist.
The Electric Human, Slaviša Pajkić. In 2003, a Serbian man named Slaviša Pajkić set a Guinness World Record by allowing 20,000 volts to pass through his body without injury. He then heated a cup of water to 200 degrees using only the electrical resistance of his own hands. Known as Biba, Pajkić says he discovered his ability as a teenager when an electric fence shocked him and he felt almost nothing. Since then, he has demonstrated his abilities dozens of times under controlled conditions, powering light bulbs, igniting fuel-soaked cotton, and cooking food with his bare hands. Electrical engineers and physicists have tested him repeatedly. His skin appears to have extraordinarily high electrical resistance, far above the normal range, allowing current to travel across his skin's surface without penetrating deeply enough to reach vital organs or disrupt his heart. His body essentially acts as a natural insulator. Some scientists remain cautious, suggesting technique may play a role. But independent measurements consistently confirm that his body handles voltage in ways that standard human physiology cannot explain. Until science provides a full answer, Slaviša Pajkić remains one of the most documented and puzzling cases of a human superpower, a man who does things with electricity that should be impossible.
Outro. From a woman who sees 100 million colors to a man who conducts 20,000 volts through his body, these 8 people are living proof that the boundary between human and superhuman is thinner than any of us realized. Every ability on this list has been tested, documented, and published by credible scientists. None of it is fiction. Some of these gifts are genetic, written into DNA before birth. Others were shaped by environment, injury, or generations of natural selection. But they all share one truth. The human body is not a finished product. It is still evolving, still surprising the scientific community, still hiding capabilities we have not yet discovered. If you found this fascinating, share it with someone who would appreciate it. And remember, the next person with an extraordinary ability might already be out there, living an ordinary life without the slightest idea of what they are.